Thank you, Laska and Corla. I want to thank the Social Democrats for bringing forward this motion, and I support all of their asks, with one exception. I agree we must intensify our efforts for an immediate ceasefire, suspension of the EU-Israeli Association Agreement, suspension of the EU Horizon Europe Association Agreement, and for the passing of the Occupied Territories Bill. But I just can't support the call to expel the Israeli ambassador, and for a very simple reason. I believe in my heart of hearts that keeping channels of communication open, keeping dialogue on the table, most especially with those people we disagree with, is crucial. In fact, I think it's essential. I believe that keeping our influence through soft power, through persuasion, through appealing to another's better nature and basic humanity is far more valuable than cutting off ties, closing down channels, shutting one's ears and turning one's back. Look, I too fundamentally disagree with some of the statements made by the Israeli ambassador. I'm horrified by what I see happening in Gaza, in Al-Shifa Hospital and so many other hospitals. But my benchmark is, would this action, in this case, the suspension of the Israeli ambassador, would that action improve the situation? Would it contribute positively? Would it save lives or help stop conflict? And I believe the answer to those questions is no. Yes, it would be a strapline on world news channels for an hour, maybe even a day. But then it's radio silence, and we partly, at least, become bystanders. Now, I'm not pretending that our influence either way is very significant, but the little influence we have must be used wisely, because we all know that this terrible, cruel and shockingly inhumane conflict will only be resolved across a table of peace talks. Difficult though it now seems, there will have to be some form of political agreement, and we have to find a way of navigating some kind of political renewal. Last week, I listened to Daniel Levi, President of the Middle East Peace Project, on Zoom call in the AV room, where he was asked, how can we find a route to a ceasefire? And his thoughtful and informed reply was that the US have leverage to deliver a ceasefire in Gaza. In my opinion, we should do everything we can, using whatever leverage we have within the EU, the US, Palestine, Israel, anywhere in the world, to help deliver some pause, some stop to the slaughter. That's our role, and I believe that's our duty. And I believe expelling the Israeli ambassador will not further those efforts. Right now, like all of us here, I feel such sadness at the cruel loss of life, the trauma of horrific injury and forced displacement, and the sight of hospitals being turned into graveyards. I can barely listen to the tortured voices of those who beg us to find ways to put an end to this conflict. But my deep sadness is that I see a growing inhumanity in people's hearts as death and destruction become the only reality, and as rage and anger supplant reason and empathy. If there is a way back, and there must be, we need to take inspiration from people like John Hume and many others who never gave up, never stopped talking, never stopped listening, never stopped engaging. That course of action does not make us weak, it makes us strong.
Thank you.